It is always appropriate to be here. Contemplate. If you ever happen to be someplace and you contemplate, I'm not here. Where are you? So in this moment, be here. Be here wherever here happens to be. In this day and time, we have gathered together to contemplate, to dialogue this that is called
Niteshift again. 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 Niteshift again.
I'll be damn late.
Now, where are my people? 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 Where are my people?
Talking about it, and I have no idea. I have no idea. I have no idea why I'm here. I don't know what I'm doing, talking about this. I saw something, they saw something. There was a lot of light. That's all I remember.
I think there's no place to hide.
I wish they'd hurry up with that transmission. I want to go to bed.
I suggest that you reach deep down inside yourself there and try and find something that'll keep you awake just a little while longer, because this transmission coming up may just rekindle your will to live.
All right, this is Valley Forge, Berkshire, Sequoia. Valley Forge, Berkshire, Sequoia. This is Com Central. Channel open for Executive Order AUC 3423. Listen to this, boys.
Night shift again. 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 Night shift. Night shift again.
I'll be damn late.
You're tuned to Listener Sponsored Radio. WBAI 99.5 FM. And on the web at WBAI.org.
The American dream for my particular family was survival. They did not want to do something that was going to rock the boat and interfere with the status quo. I think that for them to have a job and to do anything, or to have your kids do anything that would threaten the
It's time. Night Shift. It's time.
Night Shift.
We need you to open your mind.
Night Shift.
And embrace. Night Shift. Where life is like science fiction.
Night Shift.
Night Shift. You are tuned to listener-sponsored radio, WBAI 99.5 FM in New York, and this is Night Shift. I'm Mike Sargent, and we do talk about the fact that life is like science fiction, that there's a sensibility that has persisted. But more importantly, we look at life here on Night Shift. Tonight, we're going to ask ourselves, how do we change our minds? I think the first way to change anything is to change the music. So I'm going to welcome our co-hosts, Eugene Key.
Yeah. Hey, good evening.
Eugene Key.
Great to be here.
Great to be. Now, why do you sound so weird? I feel like I'm hearing you in echo. Are you echoing to me or something? What's happening?
Am I echoing?
I don't know. I feel like I hear you in echo.
I have an echo chamber.
All right. And next to you is a man who's been here. He was, here's the deal. Just so you know the history of the show. The name of the show is Night Shift, and our history is this. We used to be on at 3:30 in the morning on Thursday mornings. And that was the original Night Shift. And that had Chris Taylor. He was sort of like the Sean Connery. Then Chris Taylor left, and I had sort of a George Lazenby period where I had Keith Brown and I had Eugene Key. You both did about the same amount of shows for both about a half a year. So if I put you two together,
We make one George Lazenby.
You can decide who's George. You can decide who's George
like that.
and who's Lazenby.
Keith, I had no idea you were.
He was.
I was young then. I could hang.
He was the George Lazenby. Yeah, Byron was the Roger Moore, and and then Joe was sort of the Pierce Brosnan.
What was the guy in between the two? Pierce Brosnan and
oh, you mean
Timothy Dalton?
Timothy Dalton.
Yeah,
Timothy Dalton. Well,
one of us.
You know, was there really a Timothy Dalton? All right, you're tuned to Listener Sponsored Radio, and this is Night Shift, and here we are really going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how do we change our minds, and here's what brought this to mind. You know, on this show, it's a late night magazine. We have different sections. If you never heard the show before, we used to be on, like I said, from 3:30 till 6 a.m., and then we were on from midnight to 3 a.m. for a very long time, and it's only as of this year that we're on from 10 to midnight, so it's compressed, so we have to get a lot of show in. All right, but here's what happens, and here's what we're going to do. We have a theme, and the theme this morning is how do we change our minds? And here's what inspired that theme. You know, the Mueller report has been released. You know, the Michael Jackson documentary came, and the movie Us came out. And what do those three things have in common, you know? Okay, first, with the Michael Jackson documentary, you know, if you talk to people who have seen it, here's the question I would ask. You know, were you believing it before you saw the documentary? And did the documentary change your mind? Or did you already think it and the documentary just, you know, confirm it for you? With the Mueller, now, depending on whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or whatever your point of view is, did you think there was collusion? Did you think the report was it? Did you think this was it? We're going to impeach him Monday! All right, or did you think that, you know, it was no collusion all along and, you know, for the first time, you know, Trump wasn't lying? Okay, so, you know, and the question I would ask is, what did you believe before the report came out? What was your opinion? And did it change your mind? Did it, you know, have you been changed? All right, let's go to something else. You know, we'll go to the movie Us. If you haven't seen the movie Us, a lot of people saw the movie. Some people like it. Some people hate it. But here's what I realized about the movie is the more you talk about it, the more you start to think about what he did. And then you can really decide whether it works on the 4 levels that movie works. And we'll get to that. Now, but this, you know, we could go on. We could go on into different things that, you know, you may or may not feel one way about. And here's the question I had is like, well, what would change your mind? Because I myself came out of Us not being that, like, I was like, well, what did I just see? But then after I started talking about it, I started to think about it, started to see it, and I started to see it differently. And I responded to it differently, and I felt differently about it. Now, we've all had an experience in our lives where we changed our point of view on something. We had one point of view, and over time or through an experience made me look at it differently. You know, I broke my foot, and I used to get impatient with people who were slow or on, you know, canes or whatever.
See that?
Not anymore. Okay.
See that?
So the question is, what does it take to change your mind? Here's really the question: is it facts? Is it information that changes your mind, or is it feelings, or is it how you feel about those facts or that information? So I'm going to ask you both, you know, and that leads us, that's the theme of the show, and then that leads us to the night shift question. I ask you, Keith Brown, I ask you first, and you don't have to tell me right away, but you can tell me something that you felt one way about, but then, you know, something happened, you learned something, it completely changed your point of view. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to take calls later, but I want to know, what does it take to change your mind, especially when you feel strongly about something, especially, and we'll get into it, when that belief is part of who you are.
You're scaring me, Mike.
Yes. The name of the show.
It's Night Shift.
right, so Keith, I really do want to ask you first, just because you're up first. Can you think of something that you felt very strongly one way about, and then as you learned something, or you had an experience?
I think that when I first thought about it, I kind of stole your idea because
my idea.
Well, because I also broke my foot about a year ago.
Okay.
And then just suddenly, being very impatient with the city of New York, because when you travel around, it's very hard to, you start saying, oh, it's handicapped people, we don't have elevators, and it's like you want to start a protest and everything. but
you're on board now.
But because that's something you brought up, I'm going to say, I'm a dad. I got 2 sons, and I never thought that I wanted to be a dad. I never thought I wanted to be a father, because I just figured, that's somebody else's job to be the father of 2
right. You're too
rambunctious boys, exactly. And then when I got into it, I found now obviously the cliche is that it's the most important thing in my life, and I'm so happy, and my sons are great.
Oh, you're the Byron in this show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then I wanted a girl, because I figured, well, if I have a girl, at least they'll be sensitive, and they'll be, more understanding of the way I am. And then it ended up being 2 boys, one back to back. And then, I figured, well, I don't really do sports that much, and I'm not a macho type dude, because I'm an artist. And then in the end, they became artists, and we all hooked up, and we all, kind of have the same sensibility, I like to think, and it all worked out. So, yeah, it turned out so different than, because I'm the opposite of the dad my dad was. My dad was one of those, he was around and he was home, but he was very, he wasn't connected. He didn't know anything about my life. He didn't know anything about me. My son and I have a connection. I know a lot about what he does every day in his life, and so yeah, that ended up really different than what I imagined.
Well, I gotta say that's a pretty massive example in that, like, it's not like you just learned information, like your life shifted. You had children and boys at that, so that's pretty major. But let me just ask you this: having gone through that and the smaller version with your foot, and can I just, as an aside note here,
sure,
something I noticed, and tell me if this has happened to you. When you got the crutches and you're walking around, you're trying to go through doors or revolving doors or whatever, women would hold the door for you.
Yeah.
Men just walk right the
and
F
like
past
that
you.
thing slam in your face.
Yeah, did you notice that?
Oh yeah.
Okay, because I know you've broken stuff too.
I did. I was on crutches for about 6 weeks.
It changed your life. But it's weird how you get back to it and then you kind of forget what it was like.
Yes.
You kind of like,
right.
you see somebody else with them. I wonder sometimes, am I doing the same thing people are doing to me? Because I barely see it anymore.
No. I'm not impatient in that way. As a matter of fact, that's how I discovered elevators at movie theaters. They have elevators at movie theaters. Hello, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I used to have an app I carried on my phone telling me which stations had elevators.
You had the elevator.
Boy, I don't think I've smelled so much urine in my life.
Wow.
Because all of a sudden you're in all these subway elevators and stuff.
Sometimes you have to really walk further to get to the elevator.
Oh, exactly, which is kind of nuts, right?
It's like it defeats the purpose.
And I would gauge everything I was going to do by how far it was going to take for me to get there. I'd say like, okay, I'm going to this dude's house or this store or whatever, and I'm thinking, oh my God, there's at least 3 blocks. I got to be on those crutches all the way there instead of going 1 block, So it's like this whole thing. Your life completely surrounds that. And by the way, I'm one of those kind of people, I don't want to bother other people. Right? I don't want to make other difficult. So somebody would say like, "Hey, we're going to go meet at this place. There's 9,000 stairs up, and then you got to walk 60.
We're going to the top
there's
of
no elevator.
Top of the Rocky Steps in Philly."
And I'd be like, "Sure," and I would go, and I'd be like cursing their name the whole way there. They should be. They should know what I was, So yeah.
So you sound like Popeye when you curse. Is that what you're saying?
Precisely. I become. I want spinach. I want olive oil. No, I think it's a perfect example of like a short-term type of version of that, where your whole life you see the whole world differently because suddenly you can't run.
Well, that's a good title right there. Suddenly you can't run.
Okay. I mean, literally, if someone, a tidal wave hit New York Harbor, you'd be the slowest MF. Right. Trying to get out of the way.
So in the trailer, they show the guy on crutches and the 2 tsunamis coming in, and he just looks up and throws the crutches down and throws his arms up in the air.
Hey, let me put it in Mike Sargent language. If you were in Planet of the Apes, and you were like the Charlton Heston character, and the apes came out and they started throwing the nets, you'd be the first one they would catch.
Thank you.
You'd be the first one to be lobotomized.
The Mike Sargent language. Anyway, you're tuned to Listener Sponsored Radio, WBAI. I'm going to read an article to you because I am fascinated with this, and then I want to ask you, Eugene. And if you stay tuned, the original, the Sean Connery of the show is actually going to call in too, and he's going to be part of this whole discussion. But I do want, at a certain point I'm going to take some calls from listeners, but I do want to think about that. I do want to discuss that, just the idea. For you, I have to say, it clearly it was the experience of, having children and all of that. And that's an experience that changed you. But is that what it is? Does it take an experience to change your mind? If you were pro Trump or pro Hillary or pro Bernie or whatever it is, what does it what would it take for you to change your mind? What do you want to say, Eugene?
No, I just have an example of what I used to think, and then something changed my mind about it. And I don't want to bring anything down on this, but the death penalty. I was having a discussion with a friend of mine who's a fellow musician and a New York City school teacher. And I said, we were just talking about the death penalty. And I said, well, what do you think about it? And he says, well, Gene, he says to me, he says, I'm against it because a lot of brothers have died from the death penalty unwarranted. You know what I mean? It's okay. And then I said to him, well, suppose something happened to your mother. His mother was alive at the time. I said, well, somebody murdered your mother. Would you have the same opinion? And he said, no, I want that MF to be sad. And I said, oh, your opinion changed so quickly. I guess it really just depends on circumstance because I had to throw that at him.
Well, and that comes back to feeling, though, how you feel about it. I just read two articles that stood out to me. One was this guy this pedophile priest, who had raped over 150 children. Oh my God. Unreal, and was unrepentant and, arrogant about it. They finally brought him in because he got caught raping a 10-year-old in a pool, right? And so they put him in jail with one of his victims. The victim killed him. Oh my God. With pleasure killed him, God. And of course got another life sentence because of it. He was like, I don't care.
Well,
he probably knew it.
Right. And then it's like, wow. You have to feel like, wow, like you can't say I think anybody should kill anybody, but you know what? You're like, yeah, go on. And then I read another story that even hit harder. This man had raped a 9-year-old girl, and the father caught him, and it was, I don't know if it was a priest, but it was someone like that. Someone of a teacher or a priest, and he cut his genitals off.
Oh, yeah.
And exactly. And it's like, that guy's a hero as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, he's going to make sure that's not going to happen to
perspective and how you feel about it, that getting that information. So again, that's what's interesting about that.
Can I briefly talk about Michael?
Of course. Yeah, all right. So, yeah, please.
Just because this is an example where it's not my personal experience. It's just my perception based on someone I don't even know, and I only know from a public persona.
Wait, you don't know Michael Jackson?
Oh, well, we were buddies when I was young.
Okay, I was going to say, but I thought...
But, that's actually kind of my point, is that, I'm of the age where, Michael's older than me, but not by much. Let me just say that. And I grew up with him. I had the cereal box with him on it. I watched the cartoons.
Did you have that record that
the first record I ever
the one you cut off the back of the
exactly. So all of your youngsters probably don't remember that. But my first record I think I ever bought with my own money was a Jackson 5 record. So I go way back, and. To me, he was like a member of the family. My sister had the Right On magazines with him on the cover. I took pictures of him. I bought like little books about him. So when he became like the superstar, I was like, oh, well, y'all just catching up. Black community, we love Michael Jackson. We know who he is. We knew he had the potential, and now he's reached it beyond our imagination and all that. So when this stuff happened, I was the last person that would believe it, because to me, he was the same as if he were my family. Okay. To me, he looked like he was a distant cousin, So I was the last person to believe it. I didn't believe it for the longest time. I read a lot of articles. I read a massive book a few years ago where it was implied, And there was all these things coming up, and then I saw every single. By the way, I love Michael Jackson's music, so I was listening. I mean, I'm normally a jazz guy, and I like a lot of other kinds of music, but I love Michael Jackson for the reasons that I just stated. And when this thing started happening, I kept fighting it. And then I think one day I just said to myself, why am I just not wanting to believe it? If this happened to somebody that I loved, if he raped somebody that I loved, or if a sister of mine was raped by a close friend of mine, you know, and I wouldn't want to believe it because he's a buddy of mine. Mm-hmm. I cannot just keep saying everybody who's saying it is a liar. Now, having said that, everything is from a distance. I do not know the specifics. I do not know if the guys are talking.
Did you watch the documentary?
I did.
Oh,
the
wow.
guys are not all 4 hours.
I saw part 1.
I haven't seen it.
I saw all of it, and I have to say they seem convincing, but I still don't know, because even those guys, there's a little bit of a weirdness. You know, apparently one of them was going to work for him, and there nothing is clarified. Nothing is totally, unprecedented. So I would have to say, I waver.
Did you?
I waver.
Did you?
I saw part 1.
I didn't.
But I would not defend him. I would not jump up in front of a group of people saying, "There's no way he did it." Like a lot of these, there are groups online whose whole lives are devoted from that.
Can you do that voice again?
No, nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to hear it. But there are people in other countries that devote their lives to shooting down anyone who dares say anything negative about him. And I don't think that's right, because I say he's a human being. Right. And he probably did things that aren't perfect. And everybody I ever admired in my life, John Lennon, Miles Davis, who knows? Everybody I ever thought was brilliant.
Martin Luther King
probably had a million different things about them that were not perfect. Right. And we have to accept that. Yes. But the thing about
pedophilia is a little bit more.
But let's say the thing about Michael Jackson is he's doing things that are like acts against God. Like way worse than anything that those guys could have done
against God.
So either you have to I feel like I don't have to believe either way, because as long as I don't know him and as long as I wasn't in a room, I can just be a person who's like, I don't know. Yeah. But I will say this: I'm not stupid enough to say there's no way in the world he did it.
Right. So you acknowledge that it's possible, but you don't necessarily buy it.
Perfect.
So wow. Okay. Well, 2 things on that is that they found out that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they asked if they were going to take all of his stuff down, and they said no. He made a great musical contribution, and that's what we're celebrating, which I think is great. The second thing is that I understand on record that he had paid somebody $64 million so something wouldn't go to court, and it was about a little boy. Mm-hmm. So that makes me go,
Yeah, but the other side of that is, and not defending him, I mean, if your reputation is everything, I mean, what do you have when you're a superstar? Your reputation is everything. That's it. That's your currency. If that gets destroyed, it's worth $64 million to protect that. Okay, but again, here's the problem, and I won't get into it, but in my opinion, the part of Michael Jackson's problem is there was nobody in his camp that was like going, dude, like, even if you're not doing anything, this really don't look good. You shouldn't be doing this. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't be doing this. He made himself vulnerable to all of that with his lifestyle.
Well, who's going to tell him no? He can't do what he wants to do.
That's
especially
like
if you were hired or something.
That's the whole other conversation.
And then you have to sign an agreement that whatever you see on Neverland,
who's going to tell him no?
You got to sign an agreement in Neverland to not even mention anything.
Well, that's with anybody. That's not just Michael Jackson.
Yeah. And now people coming out of the woodwork saying, I seen this, I saw
And by the way, we're not jurists, right? So if we were jurists, at least we would have access
all public
to certain, evidence that other people don't have. And even if you had the evidence that one of those guys actually came out earlier and they actually said, no, he didn't do anything to me, and then later he changed his mind. Mm-hmm. So it's very hard to ascertain, whether I get now. But I will say there's enough compelling evidence that I don't think it can be dismissed.
Well, there it is.
I cannot contain myself when in your presence.
I will say this about the Barbara Streisand, Diana Ross thing, it's sort of interesting. We've entered this age where, on the one hand, social media has given us an ability to have a peek into any celebrity's life. Forget the fact that it's created this whole new category of people that they call influencers. But, so as a result, also the thing about social media is everybody weighs in on everything. Everybody weighs in on everything. And so when you're a person of influence and you weigh in on something, whatever that is for you to decide, I am because I feel strongly about it and I want to, and all the other humans are. But am I not allowed to have my opinion, my view, because it might be shot down, it might be wrong, there might be many who disagree with it? How real can you be then? How open or transparent or honest can you be? You really can, ultimately. So I think that's an interesting phenomenon that's going on with social media when people say this one thing. Oh, I'm sorry. How many times have people have come out and said something in a moment and they responded like every other human did? This is my view, right or wrong. This is how I see it from wherever I'm coming from. No less legitimate than anybody else. Not that Barbara Streisand's viewpoint is any less legitimate. It is legitimate.
I mean, actually, it's more in a weird way because she actually
Of course. And again, she's part of the human race.
She's entitled to her opinion.
Exactly. Everybody is.
And then once someone slams them, then they got to come back and say something.
But you see, that's the point.
Which is not. They don't have to do that.
That's what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is everybody's entitled to their opinion, but then everybody's entitled to an opinion on your opinion.
That's right.
And then it's
well, I think in the showbiz people, it's because they're afraid of their careers being damaged.
Well, that's what I was saying before. That's
your you
brand.
And me, we can say anything we want. Nobody care because in the end, who we damaging? They don't know who we are anyway. Again, but if you're somebody famous, it can actually hurt you.
That's my point.
Right.
That's what I was saying earlier, where you have to be concerned with what your brand is. Will you damage your brand by keeping this person in?
But why would somebody like Barbara Streisand even put something on social media like that?
The reason I just said because she's just as human as everybody else.
Well, I also think it's because she's older, and I don't think she really understands the power of the internet. I think she's a little bit secluded.
Who does?
And I think that when she probably said like she would say any diva-like remarks, and then all of a sudden it got blasted like 10 times bigger than it ever would in her own heyday.
Well, not so much that as again because people are so deeply entrenched in their viewpoint. The people who would blast her are the people who feel strongly about whatever it is she said. And again, her saying it is not going to change anybody's mind. As a matter of fact, it's going to, and your interpretation of what she said only either supports or validates what you already believe.
Do you think that she really wanted to see what a response would be?
Well, I think that she had empathy for Michael Jackson and expressed it. But by expressing empathy for Michael Jackson, she wasn't expressing empathy for his potential victims.
That's right.
Or you see, it's not just Michael Jackson in this story. What this story, and that's the thing about social media and where we're at in this whole case and what we're coming to, it represents more. It represents all those victims like I was talking about. Like if you've got one priest who could have molested over 150 children in his 30-year career, 150, think about that. And that's the ones who came forward. Okay? All right? Just multiply that by all the other. And the Catholic Church has been covering this up for whatever, a century. So, and that's not even talking about how they've treated the nuns and all that. So again, what does that mean now? Like, what do you do with that? How can you not have a viewpoint on that? How can you not have a viewpoint?
I think there's also a thing going on right now where liberalism has gone insane.
Where
you just say anything.
Listen, it's no more insane than conservatives.
Whatever. But I guess
what did you mean by that?
I just mean a quick point of just saying that everybody can judge what you're saying and say in some way it hurts somebody else somewhere. So you can't make any remarks without anybody saying, "Well, that offends me as a I don't even want to say because I'm afraid I'm going to get in trouble for saying.
Come on,
even make an example.
Keith Brown, what's your website?
Yeah, exactly. And suddenly,
What's
you're
your Twitter?
an enemy of
What's
this
your Twitter?
sliver of people somewhere
him.
in the world. Like you have people who, maybe they're racist against Maoris in New Zealand, or maybe they're racist against short guys with big glasses. I mean, no matter what you say, you're offending somebody. And I guess I would say I'm pretty much a liberal. I'm pretty much on the left, but at the same time, I'm terrified, to say anything. I work at an advertising agency, and sometimes I'll be talking with a group of kids, and I'll say, God, I don't even know what I can say without accident. I can't make a joke because I'm always afraid somebody will be fat shaming them, or
that's what
race shaming
Clint
them.
said. Clint said that about. He said, "Oh, in my day, we could, you call a black guy a black guy. What the hell?"
And what's that line in the new movie, right? The Mule. We were talking about that.
Yeah.
And there's a line in the movie where he stops some black people on the side of the road. He wants to help them, actually.
Calls them Negroes.
Fix it. And he goes, "Yeah, you have to call us, black people now." He goes, "Really? That's pretty good." I had people tell me they thought that was racist. That scene was racist.
Well, you see, but again,
why did he characterize the black people as accepting the fact that
that's
he didn't get angry when he said that?
Listen. I've had people. The movie Us. Okay, let me just say this: we're talking about changing minds and point of view. The movie Us. I saw the movie Us, and let me just give a slight.
Don't give it away. Mike,
I won't give anything. I won't give
Yes,
anything
I
away.
did, yes.
I won't give anything.
But
away.
you should give away anyway.
I won't give anything away. But here's what I'll say: the film works on 4 levels, or potentially can work on 4 levels. There are 4 levels of the film. One, you can view it as just an invasion film, and sort of a horror movie of that. A horror movie of the invasion. Invasion is a type of horror movie. Some crazy people trying to kill you. Okay,
like The Others or something,
or anything like that. And then it's got a lot of the zombie thing. There's a lot of them. Okay, so as a horror movie, you can judge it just as a pure horror film. Or then you can also judge it artistically as a film that it's metaphorical. It's a lot of metaphor. There's a lot going on, and he really takes horror to the form that very few artists have, where it shows the potential of horror to really speak about the human condition. Italian. There's a lot of Italian horror references with music and shots and so there's all of that. Then, just as a pure cinephile, you'll appreciate the filmmaking and what he's doing and the references and all of that and all of that and all of that. Right. But also you'll appreciate, just as a cinephile, what he's doing. What he's doing here is showing us things that you can take for granted. That you show a black family, they're the protagonists, and it's made all this money. That means he's showing us that it didn't make $70 million just because black people went to see it. It made $70 million because everybody went to see it. So that means that quote unquote white people can have empathy for black protagonists or protagonists of color. Wow, that's groundbreaking.
Well, that was true with Black Panther too.
Well, again, it's all of this the last year. What we're watching, we take it for granted, but this is all groundbreaking. So I say all that. So it works on that level, what it's doing from a cinema point of view. Then on the 4th level, okay, it's really a large Twilight Zone movie. And it's really what he's doing with the genre. He's pushing the genre to create something. When was the last time a horror movie has been talked about and discussed, and what's a social commentary? What's
Get Out?
My point is exactly what he's doing is reminding us that horror movies can be more than about the scares or more than about box office. It can be about all these other things. We can talk about all these things. We can unpack this. So it works on all those levels. Now, that being said, when you first see the film, it's a lot to take in. It's like watching a cartoon. When you're a kid, you could watch a Pixar movie and enjoy it as a kid, but then as an adult, it's a whole other experience. So that's how I liken Us to that. So
is that why you say I'd like to see it again?
Absolutely, because it's kind of Sixth Sense. It's Sixth Sense in that sense. And
another
again,
$70 million next week.
Well, let me see, but there's nothing wrong with that. I love the fact that he's doing that. All that being said, now what was your question to me about Us? You had a question to me about Us?
No.
All right. Well, all of that being said, coming back to the theme here, the question is, the criticism that I've heard about Us is that the black male character seems emasculated. Because the
BS,
dude. I'm telling you.
I mean, I believe that people saying it, but I don't think it's true.
A lot of people are saying it in social media. So it's interesting, again, like how people interpret things, what people come away with, and what what it means to them based on their point of view.
Well, I mean, you can take it both ways, but you know what? I don't want this is not giving it away. This is not giving anything away because you see it in the ads. But Lupita Nyong'o is the star of the film. Okay,
right.
So if he had made the male the star, who by the way who's a lesser star, he's not as well known anyway. Then people would say,
why would you? He didn't win an Oscar.
Then why would you make Lupita? Why are you making this movie another film about male dominance and make the female character less? He decided to make the hero the female, which seems like it would be more of a left, sort of modern sort of point of view.
Did you say left?
Well, I mean leftist, like a liberal.
Wait, hold on a second. Is feminism a leftist thing?
I think it is.
Okay.
I
don't think it is.
Well, I mean, listen.
To a white male, it is.
That's a whole other conversation.
To a white male, it is.
We gotta have a white
male. In the world we have right now,
Chris will call
in the
as
world
the white man.
Well, I have to say this is in the world of Trump. I think it is, but
in the world of
Trump.
That's
my point.
But I do think that his choice to do that is empowering for women. So, but I don't think because the guy is not as effective as her. He does not come off like a wimp. He does not come off like
fellas.
a fair.
Listen, I don't think he comes off as a wimp at all. As a matter of fact, I have met that couple. I know that couple. So it made complete sense when you see the movie as to
I was that couple.
Her character.
I mean, when I was married.
Was that you? Was that you? All right. See, there it is. I've known that couple. And you know what? I don't want to get into a review of the movie.
Of course
we'll
not.
wait till more people have seen the film because I don't want to get into details.
But you know what? But Mike, can I just say one thing without saying anything more
about
any details?
No,
of the film?
It's over.
And that is that I agree with you on most of your point. Although I did listen to a podcast with you and Rico, and I didn't agree with what you were saying.
Jack Rico,
whatever his name is. But
you don't agree with me
about the movie?
Well, his co-host that he was doing on a podcast.
You don't agree with me or him?
Him.
Okay.
Because he thought the film was too intellectual.
I'm going to play this.
And I do not buy that. I feel like the film works on a level of, just like Mike just said, a scare film. But if you want to have the intellectualism, if you want to think about it, if you want to think the layers, it's there too. That's the perfect film. That's what Hitchcock did. That's what all the best filmmakers do. They say, one layer, just go to the movie, have a good time. The best films are the ones like, I don't know, The Shining, whatever. You go back again, you watch it, and there's more to it.
See it again. Yeah.
You cannot make that. To me, that's the epitome of what you can do in art, in any art.
But again, it's not something that's done that often in horror, and that's part of what I respect about it is that it is something that he's pushing the genre past where we've been to something to exemplify the potential of horror as allegory, because genre film, and again, science fiction, horror, fantasy, and comedy really allow us to really examine those deeper issues. This is a film that's not just about class or race. It's not about race. It's really about the duality of the soul and the things that we want to ignore and not pay attention. It's about a whole lot of things. And that's what's great. The unpacking of this film, again, as a film critic, as a film lover, and as a filmmaker, what I have to appreciate is that here is an artist that decided, and let's not forget that he's a comedian, and we all know what the comedian's job is, because in a lot of ways this film is a comedy. He's forcing us to work a little bit harder. What Jack Rico was saying is when he goes to a horror movie, and this is the other thing, this is what I say, does it work on all these levels? If you're just a horror person, does it work just as a thriller, just as an invasion film? And you didn't pick up on any of the other stuff. I don't know why the rabbits are there, but they're there and that's cool. Or any of the other things that are going on, does it work? And I think to me, that's great filmmaking when you put. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that the best films work on all kinds of levels.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that when you start to say, when I go to see a movie, I just want it to be stupid and scare me, then that's when you get a lot of trash. That's when you get Friday 13th 7. That's when you get Freddy Krueger,
Friday 13th 7
the Dream Moron 7. I mean, it's just, it becomes
Dream
like
of Morons. Did you say
the Dream Morons?
Okay.
No, they just, you know what I mean? Like it becomes a thing where people don't really want anything. Do you remember Speed 2?
Dream morons.
Speed 2 was not a Speed was not a brilliant film, but it had something going on.
But was Sandra Bullock in Speed 2?
She was.
Oh, really?
But she was stuck.
Was she on a bus?
Keanu Reeves bailed, and then
Keanu Reeves.
Jason Patrick was in it.
Smartly,
it was horrible.
All right, let's
But my point, I'm just making a point that they just said, "Oh, people just want to see stuff going really fast and moving," but Speed 1 had more layers in it, but they said we don't need those layers. It's like the Die Hard sequels, They just think
Die Hard 2 was good.
Let's just simplify.
Die Hard 3 was good too. 2 and 3 were good.
Well,
after that,
I don't really care.
All right, well, that's another conversation. Anyway, and I want to know what it would take to change your mind. But you are tuned to listener-sponsored radio, WBAI 99.5 FM. We're going to be taking some calls soon. We're also going to be... we're going to be dealing with people like Keith. We're going to be
Thank you.
We're going to be taking some calls. We're going to be bringing in Chris onto the phone here, and we're also going to blow Eugene's mind.
What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and suffer the loss of his own soul? What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and suffer the loss of his own soul?
All right, so I'm going to read a little of this article, and then I'll bring everybody else back in here, okay? This is an article from Helio.com. It says, facts don't change people's minds. Here's what does. And this article is written by Ozan Varro, okay? And this is written back a couple of years ago. It says, if you'd asked me this question, how do I change a mind 2 years ago, I would have given you a different answer. As a former scientist, I would have cautioned you to rely on objective facts and statistics. Develop a strong case for your side, back it up with hard, cold, irrefutable data, and voila. Drowning the other person with facts, I assume, was the best way to prove that global warming is real, that the war on drugs has failed, or that the current business strategy adopted by your risk-averse boss with zero imagination is not working. Since then, I've discovered a significant problem with this approach. It doesn't work. The mind doesn't follow the facts. Facts, as John Adams put it, are stubborn things, but our minds are even more stubborn. Just as Keith said about Michael Jackson, doubt isn't always resolved in the face of facts for even the most enlightened among us. However credible and convincing those facts might be, as a result of well-documented confirmation bias, and I like that term there, confirmation bias, we tend to undervalue evidence that contradicts our beliefs and overvalue evidence that confirms them. We filter out inconvenient truths and arguments on the opposing side. As a result, our opinions solidify, and it becomes increasingly harder to disrupt established patterns of thinking. We believe in alternative facts, and this is written in 2017, if they support our pre-existing beliefs. Aggressively mediocre corporate executives remain in office because we interpret the evidence to confirm the accuracy of our initial hiring decision. Doctors continue to preach the ills of dietary fat despite emerging research to the contrary. If you have any doubts about the power of the confirmation bias, think back to the last time you Googled a question. Did you meticulously read each link to get a broad projective picture, or did you simply skim through the links looking for the page that confirms what you already believed was true? And let's face it, you'll always find that page, especially if you're willing to click through page 12 on Google's research results. Give the mind an out, he says here. We're reluctant to acknowledge mistakes to avoid admitting we were wrong. We'll twist ourselves into positions that even seasoned yogis can't hold. The key is to trick the mind by giving it an excuse. Convince your own mind or your friend that your prior decision or prior belief was one that was given what you knew. But now that the underlying facts have changed, so should the mind. But instead of giving the mind an out, we often go for the punch to the gut. We belittle the other person. I told you so. We ostracize. A basket of deplorables. We ridicule. What an idiot. Schadenfreude, which you hopefully know what that means. Schadenfreude may be your favorite pastime, but it has the counterproductive effect of activating the other person's defenses and solidifying their positions. So, basically, he breaks it down to this. He says, the problem when your beliefs are intertwined with your identity is that changing your mind means changing your identity. And that's a really hard sell. So I'm going to go on to he talks about empathy, and he talks about the echo chamber of really kind of regurgitating what we know. But one of the things we've talked about here on the show, and I'm sure both of you and Chris, are you there? Chris, is that you? Is that you there? Are you there?
Yeah.
Yes. See, and Chris can. It's Chris.
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 How you doing, man?
All right, I got something for you here, Chris.
What's up, Chris?
What's up, Eugene?
I'm good, man. Good to hear you.
All right, Chris, I got something for you. I just got to play this for you before I try and ask you why you change and what takes to change your mind. Tell me, you're the only person that might know what this is. Do you know what it is, Chris?
You played it earlier, and I was trying to get it, and then to listen to it now, it's coming through fuzzy on the phone, so I'm not getting it clear.
All right,
but it's something that I do know.
I know you know it. Oh, you're the only person I know who could possibly know it. I hope you should have headphones on. You don't have a headset on?
I don't have the headset thing.
What's up with the headset, dude? You need a headset. I'm gonna mail you a headset. I'm gonna mail you. Didn't your iPhone come with a headset?
Yeah, but how do you talk on that thing? I don't know. Can you just talk? I don't know.
Yeah, you can just talk. Put the headset on. You can just talk.
Yeah, but then my girl can't kind of listen to the show. I kind of go back and forth between
First of all, you need to get a splitter and put her on a headset, and then you guys.
Well, I need the splitter and then put her on.
What the hell? What the hell, dude? All right,
She's
so
entrenched in the show, but she doesn't want to just sit here and listen to the show as intensely as we do.
Well, you know why? Because you need to get naked. If you get naked,
that would make her insane.
If you get naked while you do the show, you're naked doing the show. She'll be loving it. She'll take videos.
You're mine, man.
All right, this is the opening music, prologue, opening music to Soylent Green. I had to play that.
Oh wow! Yeah, I don't think I would have. I'd have to listen to it for a while to catch it.
Yeah, this is the at the party music from like.
But Keith, you were snapping on Dream Warriors. Is that?
Yes, he was.
Wow, only Chris would know that.
Exactly. Yes, he was. Yes.
No, actually, because
that's actually one of the better ones, right?
My music was the end title sequence. Is the music I did with the Fat Boys.
Oh, really?
The film. Yeah. That's
so you were involved. Were you involved with this?
Yeah, I was involved.
You worked directly with Mr. Craven.
That little royalty check every once in a while.
Oh yeah.
Once or twice a year. Yeah, every time that thing plays, I get 10 cents or something. It adds up after a while.
A big fat check of $2 every month.
Exactly. Actually, sometimes it's a little bit more than that, but it's funny, that people that do all those movies, that like the actors that get those royalty checks. I'm telling you that
they're living off of that.
Yeah,
Oh man, I'm telling you,
good for them. I got a royalty check for a penny one time. I'm serious. I still have it because I wanted to show my kids. See how hard Daddy's been working.
But I definitely have an opinion on Michael Jackson. I
want to hear it.
Me too.
Okay, Mike, you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready. Well, before you tell me, I want to ask you. Now, first, did you watch the documentary?
Yeah, I've watched about 2 hours.
All right, yeah, you watched about as much as I did. I watched the first 2 hours. All right, so second.
I watched 2 hours, and wait, let me just say, I watched 2 hours of it, and then I got just how much more of it do I have to listen?
Right,
to?
I'm with you. It was
long.
It was long.
And, but I do intend on watching all of it just so that I'm not a complete, not going to have an opinion without fully watching it. I intend on watching it, but there's only so much time in our lives to do anything. Go ahead. So, yeah.
So my question to you is that, okay, you watched it, but prior to watching it, what was your point of view on Michael Jackson and the molestation?
My opinion has been set in stone. I've said this a lot on the air. It's been set in stone ever since Michael Jackson did that interview with that one reporter, I don't remember his name, Bashir or something or other, and he did the interview, and Michael Jackson, out of his own words, said, and I quote, he said, "If you really love somebody, you'll share your bed with them, and such, and that's how you really can show how much you..." And he said, "Well, wait a second, you said if you really love somebody, you'll share your bed." Yes, if you really, really love somebody, sharing your bed is the ultimate thing.
Wow.
And that is what did it for me, without a doubt. I was like, yes, he's pedophile, he is a manipulator, it's out of his own mouth. It sunk it for me, and it sunk it for me in such a way that it saddened me, and I'm obviously a big Michael Jackson fan, and not only that, it shook me a bit because it just showed that he had gotten to a point where he was just rationalizing it because he had, been doing all this stuff, and his lifestyle permitted, as you have said tonight, his lifestyle permitted because of people signing, undisclosed, can't NDAs and stuff. That it led to him being able to be so manipulative of all these people, and then nobody saying anything because of whatever reasons. And just and then I looked at all the pictures of his house and how where he had his bedroom set up, and then all the different rooms, like how he had
secret rooms,
the secret rooms, and then I just really, without a doubt, just believe, because here's how I feel. I feel as a person as I am, that if I was telling somebody, hey man, I'm going to share my bed with your child, I'm over 40 or 50 or whatever age, and I want to share my bed with your child, and it's going to be okay. It makes that just guys opening yourself to all the controversy and all of that. And why would you open yourself up to all of that unless you wanted to risk something? And that on top of just my own belief system and just how, because if I would have talked to Michael, I would have said, dude, There's something wrong with you.
Let me ask you a question. Let me reframe this for you, and ask you a question. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, that he was weird and he had kids in his bed and he had this whole, innocent thing where he kind of saw, everything is love and he had an arrested development and he was still kind of a child in his head. And, it never got sexual for him. It always stayed, innocent, but, let's not get into why these people are doing what they're doing or saying what they're saying. Now, what would it take to convince you that was what it was? It was just weird and completely encouraged to be as weird as he wants to be. Let's not forget. Hold on a second. Let's not forget.
Okay. Yep.
Let's not forget that. And again, it's not judging him in the sense that Jerry Lee Lewis married 14-year-old.
Yeah, his first cousin.
Elvis married. Yeah. I mean, so people who are very wealthy are allowed to indulge themselves in ways that would be inappropriate.
So that means they're eccentric?
No, it doesn't mean they're eccentric. It just means that they're allowed to indulge themselves in ways that are inappropriate. But my question is, what would it take to change your mind that as weird as it is, it was not predatory? What would it take to change your mind?
Nothing.
Not you, Eugene.
Yeah, I know. You know my opinion.
I know you're.
Well, I would say what I have to say one thing that I would never have thought that Michael Jackson could have figured out a perfect way to do drugs, which was propofol, to not get caught, and to have done it to the extent that he did that because he was so addicted to that he actually killed himself with his addiction. Okay, actually killed himself, had a doctor sitting there and still killed himself. And I would never have thought that Prince would have had a drug addiction to the point that he did, that he killed himself too.
Or
that
Elvis.
upsets me as much. Or Elvis. But and it's just like, so you really can't get away from the stardom thing or the obsessiveness of being, considered a godlike figure in our lives, and it leads to all these crazy. I wouldn't have thought that the guy that Tom Petty would have basically OD'd from doing too much.
What are your thoughts on Woody Allen? I mean, what's the quote from Woody? An artist lives in his own moral universe.
He said that?
So,
yes, he did. We had a character say it in one of his movies.
I don't honestly think that. The only thing is, if I would have been spent time with Michael Jackson, you could convince me. If I actually could spend time with him and could feel him out from my own instincts and saw how he interacted and what I would catch or something like that, maybe that may have convinced me that, but I don't know.
Chris.
Would the shine of Michael Jackson, would the shine of him, of talking to him in person still blind me? Maybe. I don't know.
Well, if you were under 10 and you can experience that, Chris, then we would see what your opinion would be.
No, The Shining. Yeah, what? No, The Shining.
Well, I think the thing is that the only reason we're having this conversation is because it's Michael Jackson. If it was somebody we didn't know and was just a guy who was a pedophile,
like a Catholic priest,
and we would just say, we would condemn him, we would put him in a jail, we'd say never throw away the key. The only reason that we're having a conversation with the same
let me
exact
ask you another question.
Evidence level,
Chris,
all the details.
I agree.
Everything.
That's a damn good point, Keith. All right, Chris, I got another question for you. You ready?
But listen, let me say, Mike,
you
were on the radio, you defended Bill Cosby.
Well, I was just going to say Bill Cosby. I didn't defend Bill Cosby.
Yes, you did.
I did not.
You did?
Mike would fight me on
what,
Bill
Mike?
Cosby.
You defended Bill Cosby?
When did I defend Bill Cosby?
He never wanted to buy it.
You defended Bill Cosby because I remember.
Oh, wow.
You better play
Chris,
that
you're
tape
so
to me.
right, brother. He used to fight me about it. Every time I would say,
First of all, I never fought him.
Effed up, and Mike would be like, "Well, you don't know all the evidence. You don't know all the details."
I never said that. That is not even how I talk.
Wrote it in a text.
Listen, and I loved Bill Cosby. I had all his records.
Me too.
Bill Cosby. Okay, I'll say that. I loved the guy. I thought he was a brilliant comedian. I love listening to him do his, 2-hour comedy shows. I would love to.
All right, let me ask you a question. Is there anything that could change your mind on Bill Cosby? Is there anything that changed your mind?
He needs to stop tweeting too. What's up with the tweeting now, apparently?
I don't know how he could be tweeting in jail.
He is.
Well, what kind of privilege is that?
Quite a privilege.
What?
Jail
Apparently
tweet.
he's
living it up in
He's
jail.
tweeting his wife and he's saying things like, happy anniversary, baby.
He had the right lawyer. That's what it comes down to.
He's spending all his money in prison to everybody.
Is it human nature to, at a certain point, start to rationalize whatever devious behavior you do?
Absolutely. A point.
You
Yeah,
care
of course.
about, people you
Absolutely.
love.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I concur. Yes, 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 and yes.
Because
again.
Bill Cosby, if you asked him on the side, you said, "Hey, bro, how do you really feel?" He goes, "I don't do nothing wrong."
Exactly.
I mean, it seems like what Barbara Streisand is saying too. She's like almost saying, "Well, he had his,
Yeah, well, they didn't mind.
sexual."
Yeah, she's like, they didn't mind. They were digging it.
We shouldn't laugh. It's not funny.
It's not funny, but that's what she was saying.
I took offense to that.
And did you tweet her? Did you tweet her?
No, she's just as you guys were originally good points you made. She's in her own realm.
That's right. Keith made that point. Keith gets 2 points. You're tuned to Listener Sponsored Radio, WBAI. And in a few minutes, we're going to take some calls, and we want to hear what it would take to change your mind on something you strongly believe, or whether it's actually really happened in your life. So I wanted to ask you, Chris, when have you completely changed? Like, when did you believe one thing, and then you learned something that just completely changed your mind?
Well, I gotta have to think about that.
Please do.
There's a lot of things. Always been this. Yeah. What?
All right. Well, you think about it. The phone number here is 212-209-2877. You can make a call. I'm Mike Sargent. I'm here with Keith Brown, Eugene Key, and Chris Taylor.
Can I ask you something?
No. Yes.
Oh.
Yes, of course.
Well,
yes.
no, I feel bad. No. I wanted to ask you, have you ever had a time in your life where somebody, a family member, you don't have to say who or name or male or female, and they said, you know, this family member, or this close, I'll say even, it could be a close friend, not a family member, and you said, oh my God, he did that? Yeah.
You mean a family member doing something heinous?
Horrible.
Heinous.
Maybe criminal,
heinous.
Maybe just heinous. Right.
Heinous.
And then you were like, I can't believe it. I played jacks with that kid when we were kids. We used to play Hot Wheels. We used to hang out. He was my best friend. I loved him. And now he's doing this. Has that ever happened to you?
No. But I come from different stock than you.
Happened to you, G. And me.
No, that's interesting though. But I mean, I've definitely learned stuff about family members that, like, wow, okay, but nothing that, like, I know where you're going. Not quite, but yeah, I've heard people tell me.
You don't have
stuff.
any drug addicts or
I do.
or people who've been in jail or been arrested.
Yeah, sure. Listen, I mean,
you're black. You have to have some.
You're black. You know you got that.
What kind of brother are you?
You have 2 or 3 people in your family that been in jail.
You ain't really black. Who's in jail? You better
got a whole family in jail.
Thank you.
No, I mean, even I do. I mean, so it is what it is. It doesn't matter who we are. It's like, it's family.
Well, I'm just saying, yeah, I've definitely had.
They didn't start out like that. You didn't start out in jail.
Exactly. I've definitely had some family who've done some questionable things, sure. Made some bad choices, yeah.
It's like the Bob Walker family.
Exactly. Chris did, because Chris is that one in the family. He's the one that made those choices.
What are you talking about? What did I do now?
But I guess obviously, Mike, what I'm saying is, even people in your own family that you would never
can
imagine.
Change your mind about stuff.
Oh, yeah. I've changed my mind about a lot of stuff. A lot of people that I know that you thought you knew, but you're like, I can't believe.
I mean, say for example, have you ever like lent money to somebody like, I didn't give you. You didn't lend me any money. Well, I paid
Well,
you.
no,
I gave you some money like a year ago. No, you never gave me anything. I don't remember that.
Wow, that's great.
Oh, you trying to say
denial, eh?
You trying to say I need? Okay, I understand.
I don't remember that.
You trying to say I didn't give you $50.
That's called gaslighting.
I didn't give you $50 for some groceries down at the.
That's called gaslighting. All right, first of all, I understand. All right, calm yourself. A lot of people have been calling. I'm going to give out the phone number. One more time. It's 212-209-2877. And you are tuned to Listener Sponsored Radio. WBAI 99.5 FM. We want to know what it took and what it takes and what it took to change your mind.
Yeah, I got it now, but I don't want to say.
All right, we're waiting for some people to call. I'm going to blow your mind now, Keith. Keith. Eugene, the other guy. You ready?
Co-host too.
Okay, here we go.
2084. Wedgecraft, a vast space station in orbit around Earth, an industrial nation to itself, and leader in world technology. Its creator and technical genius, fearing his position in world political affairs, makes plans and begins to hollow out and colonize a small moon.
All right, I'm going to come back to that. Hello, you're on the air. Hello?
Yeah, it's Tom from the Bronx.
Tom,
here.
what are you going to tell us, Tom?
Well, I could tell you a lot of stuff, but anyway, literally. But to change your mind, you have to have all the facts on most cases.
And can you give me an example where that's happened to you, Tom? Where you actually changed your mind from something you believe strongly because some facts came to your attention?
Okay, here's something I can
in your own life.
Tell you. I could mention this. I believed years ago that the country of South Africa was a very vicious place. And when I started to analyze the facts, compared to the countries north of them that were suffering from literal starvation when these areas became countries, South Africa held on to, in other words, held on as a country, and it was a country only after England left. They didn't have to fight for their independence because England left them. And then I started to understand that as a country, why the people that were living in the townships over there, which I thought was very cruel, that they had to be out of the city at a certain time, like Cape Town, Pretoria, whatever. And I started to realize that there were maniacal leaders that were north of them that were sending individuals into the cities to knock people's heads off. In other words, there's a big fight. So the idea was not to have.
Now wait. I totally understand it, but I just want to ask you now.
Well, wait a minute. I didn't actually finish though. People from the townships in the cities during the night, because then you'd start killing the citizens of South Africa, and when people, I thought it was cruel for them to give people cargo containers originally, but then I started to say, well, perhaps people were living in terrible shacks, and the cargo containers were a big step over the terrible shacks that people were forced to live in under England, probably, as a colony. So I started to say to myself, maybe as bad as South Africa was, people ate there. People in the countries north of them were starving because of the war-torn areas that were taking place. And it was it was corporate forces that originally were trying to talk to the colonials, they'll call them, in all these places, probably after the war ended, World War II, and they said, "Oh, let us, to put it bluntly, let us destroy your landscape, but you'll all be filthy rich." And then when they told these corporate individuals, they said, "Look, we don't want to destroy the landscape." They said, "Okay, if you don't want to destroy the landscape, then we'll get people in charge that will let us destroy the landscape."
All right, Tom, I'm with you.
Speak.
Wait, Tom, I'm with you. Here's my question. I just kind of want to cut the chase a little bit because we don't have a 3-hour show anymore. We only have a 2-hour show. This information and you getting it, how did you feel about it? Did it make you understand South Africa differently? Did you have empathy?
Yeah,
Did you have anger about the corporations? How did you feel about it?
Well, I started to analyze it, and I said to myself, maybe they were monsters, but they weren't as big a monsters as these corporate characters that steamed people up and said, "You need liberty, freedom, and justice for all." And they kept selling that story, and there were people that.
So just for those listening, what was the mind change? How did you think, getting all of this info? How did you feel at first, and then how did you feel after learning all this?
Well, wait a minute now. Well, at first I thought they were monsters. I mean to say, as I was.
Who was monsters?
I mean
the South African people, the black people,
South African leadership under the whites.
The South African, the black leaders or the white leaders?
No, the white leaders.
So you thought the white leaders were monsters, and then you came to realize they weren't as big a monster as the corporate monsters.
As the corporate monsters.
I understand, and that was a big difference for you.
It was a big difference for me.
I understand.
I looking at the countries that were north of them, that literally wound up in civil wars and misery. And I started to say then they weren't eating. Then they were, when you had the black leaders in these countries, people that were living indigenously for many, many years, they turned around and said, "Well, you know what we can do? We've got to remove these people here because these corporations want to dig for minerals."
So wait, Tom, you got to be a little more concise. It's not quite so late at night. So basically, what you're saying is you just thought that evil can come in any color. Corporations are probably worse than any individual, and the individual can be corrupted, no matter what the color, by the ultimate evil, which is the corporations and the pursuit of money.
Yes, that's true.
All right, I'm with you.
Very, very true.
I was distilling it for you. Thank you for calling,
right,
Tom. I appreciate all of that.
Well, listen, one more thing.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
What were you going to say? Chris is like, hello?
Well, thanks for wrapping that up.
You retired as like a plumber or something. I love you.
No, you gotta love Tom. You gotta love Tom. Tom is on it. Listen, don't make fun of flip phones because Eugene has a flip phone. Eugene is a flip phone. He's a partial Luddite.
Can I tell you something I discovered today that I'm so happy that they still make is clothespins. The old clothespin, the wooden one, they still make them. You know what I'm talking about?
They still make them? I know what you're talking about.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, no, because I was using them to hold my pants up, and they still work.
Exactly.
The clothespin.
They still have a use.
Suspenders.
Yeah.
You don't have to get suspended.
You still have use.
Hello, you're on the air.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, who's this?
This is you remember me? I used to call in as Yoda. There's a bunch of different people.
Oh, as the artist formerly known as Yoda.
Oh my! How are you, man? It's been 20 years.
Yeah, how long you been listening to the show? Formerly Yoda.
Yeah, since '95.
95. That's disturbing. That's over 2 decades.
He must have heard me.
Brown Vaseline.
That's really
Brown Vaseline, right, Yoda?
Disturbing. All right. So now you want to tell me a situation where you completely changed your mind?
Yeah, I got 2 quick ones for you. But before I do that, I just want to correct Chris on his own trivia. He He said that he worked with the Fat Boys for Dream Warriors, but it was Dream Master. That Fat Boy song came out for Dream Master.
Oh,
not Dream Warriors.
Correcting him on his own trivia. Ouch. Chris, there you are. You are corrected.
Oh, it's Dream Warriors is Nightmare 4, isn't it?
No, Dream Warriors is Nightmare 3, which is a good movie, though. I like it.
Dream Masters, Chris.
Dream Warriors is Nightmare 3.
Yeah, Dream Master is 4. Yeah, and then there's the Dream Child, which is 5.
Right. He's right.
And there's Freddy's Dead.
Thank you for
That's right. Correcting you on your own trivia.
On my own thing. I'm so stupid.
Well, my
But
thing
you know,
was the,
Yeah, go ahead. I want to hear your examples, Yoda.
my thing was the Jussie Smollett story. I bought that hook, line, and sinker, man. I mean,
Oh, really? Really?
I didn't start a social media campaign, and I didn't do justice for Jussie, but I totally believed it. When I heard the story, I'm like, yeah, definitely that happened to him. No doubt about it.
Well, he concocted that story, so he made it believable.
He is a storyteller. He's an actor.
Yeah, but when you
But
when you
it
look at the
smelled
facts-
like Robert Blake to me.
Yeah.
It smelled very Robert Blake to me. I almost posted that, but I felt like
I just thought
I didn't want to get any hate. I wanted to put that out. Like it smelled like Robert Blake to me. But even some people wouldn't even get what that means.
What do you think is going to happen to him?
I think it's over. Rimbo. It's over.
Well, his career is over, but
It's over.
Is he going to do any jail time?
Yeah, he can do jail.
Should
time.
he?
Well, should any of these what do they call them? The white women who call black families. How about them? None of them have done jail time. That's what's going to happen. Trust me, if he does jail time, they'll be like, "How come all the barbecue Beckys have?"
No, and that's a little different. It's a little different.
Well, here we go. That's another show.
It's just
Look
a
at-
little
it's another
different.
show.
Okay, it's another show.
All right. So Yoda, you have another example.
It segues right into the college, the money paid for the college exams, right? Segues right into that.
Is that another show too?
Well, no, that's still about changing your mind.
You don't know.
Well, how so, Mike?
Were you a Lori Loughlin fan, or did you hate her?
But they should go to jail. But you got to think about Dr. Dre.
And her daughter's mad at them.
Oh,
Her
Dr.
daughter's
Dre.
70 million?
Yeah, 70
million.
Wait, what about Dr. Dre?
A building is going to be named after him that's not even built
That's
yet.
at his daughter. It's the same school. He bragged and twittered that his daughter, kind of breaking back against the
Wait,
Lori Loughlin and all that.
what?
He's saying that she got into USC legitimately by her. Dr. Dre said that.
His daughter.
And
then they just checked it and they found out that the same school she's in, he gave $70 million to in 2013.
Well, there it is.
And there's a building named after him. It's not even built yet. I mean, it's not completed yet. But yeah.
All right. Well, there it is.
Any way you can get in.
There it is. Now, did that change your mind on Lori Loughlin?
No.
Okay. All right. Well,
you got to do it legitimately.
all right. Finish, Yoda. Finish your story.
I'm gonna get to the next thing as well. But what I wanted to point out was the main reason why I bought it hook, line, and sinker was I found out I didn't have all the information. Like your previous call was talking about getting the facts.
There you go.
My facts were completely wrong. I didn't know he was out there at like 2 a.m. I thought it happened in the evening. I thought he was leaving from like an interview with Fox Television, and that's why I was like, well, they gotta have security cameras. Somebody saw something. And I had all my facts mixed up, and that's the main reason why I bought into it. I just didn't have all the facts right. I just kind of read the headlines and jumped to my own conclusion.
Hey, can I ask you a question? What do you think about the letter? You think he made that too?
Of course
he did. Probably. I don't want to
the anthrax, of course he did.
I mean, why would someone do that just to get more money? Are we that greedy in America?
Now, I'll just mention this because I've had it on the agenda for a while. The false nobility of suffering. That's why.
Yeah, and also,
listen to me. When you are a victim,
okay,
when you're a victim, okay, there is, especially in the media and in the mind, there's a nobility to being a victim, and part of that comes from our perception of like victims who have risen above it. You can be a victim of a racist government and then become President Mandela. You know what I mean? But that's really not the core of his nobility. But people equate that. It's sort of like the Paris Hilton, like you're famous for, what are you exactly famous for being famous?
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So that's my answer.
He kind of gave himself away because right after the fake attack.
He called himself, I'm the gay,
the gay Tupac.
The gay Tupac. He coined his own phrase.
No, he didn't.
But Michael Jackson did that too. He did call himself the King of Pop.
King of Pop, yeah.
Well, what about the guy?
What about
guy
what?
that kicked the woman.
Oh, on the subway.
Oh, God.
What is that all about?
What is
And
that all
then,
about?
and then he calls out the website he wants to be featured on.
Oh, yeah, world star.
This is the world. Listen, the world
What was
has
his
gone
website?
insane.
It's the world we live in.
Kicking MTA.
No. World star hip hop.
Hashtag kicking old lady's ass.
.com.
She threatened you with a knife sitting down.
No, it's not funny.
And they gave him a
Somebody's
name,
grandmother.
Granny Kicker.
Granny Kicker.
Granny Kicker, stop.
They gave him.
This is
Granny Kicker.
there's something disturbing about the
And
planet.
next month he's going to be on Ellen. He's going to be on Jimmy Kimmel.
Stop
talking about
Granny
Yeah, I
Kicker.
kicked her because
Hashtag
you
Granny
know
Kicker.
who really likes
man,
Granny?
what is going on?
The world is gone mad.
Yeah, it's like it's a madhouse.
So glad I live in New York.
3 or 4 guys that were filming it. That made no sense. They had 3 guys on the train that were videotaping.
That's the thing. People
Did nothing.
videotaped
They
it.
did
Did
nothing.
nothing. The world
They
is
could
gone
have easily
insane.
took them. They could easily took them. But my second thing real quick, and then I'll get out of here, is the John Bonet case. I totally thought the mom did it. And when she got vindicated after she died, I felt so guilty when I heard that she had nothing to do with it.
John Bonet. All right. Well, the facts then cleared you. The facts you can't deny. Certain facts you can't deny. Certain facts. Certain
Well,
facts
yeah,
you
I mean,
can't-
it's just like all those guys that have gone to jail until they found the DNA was wrong.
That's right.
I mean, the guys had done other crimes. They were in the wrong place at
Well,
the wrong
that's a
time. They
whole-
looked like a whole bunch of
that's a
victims
whole
said that he
other
looked
level of
exactly like
mind
that.
change.
And then you
That's-
find out they get, they had nothing to do with it. It was like, oh my God. I mean, there's no real way to know. Even if you do a trial, I mean, obviously the American legal system is incredibly flawed. So there are people sitting in jail right now, tonight, while we're sitting here, who didn't do anything.
Right.
All right. I'm going to blow Eugene's mind here for a second.
Blow my mind.
Jamie.
As a small moon located in the 5th quadrant of the Helios system. No one outside of his uppermost officials in his organization knows of his plans. In order to get supplies there, the freighters are sent on dummy missions to the nearest planet in the system, Magus 4. Making a brief stop in space, supplies are unloaded and brought down to Wedge World with the use of colonizers. All this goes unnoticed by the crews of these ships and the rest of the universe. Things run smoothly for 8 years. As our story opens, something has been happening. So far, 2 ships have vanished on their way to their destinations without contacting or reaching Wedge World or Magus 4. Wedgecraft smells a plot and is acting on the assumption that some other world power or organization is behind these disappearances. They enlist the aid of not the planetary law enforcement agency, but the Secret Service, whose top operative happens to be a man named James Scott.
Man.
James Scott.
Yes.
Oh my God! You blew my mind.
Wait, no, you got to keep listening.
Oh my God! James,
this is what I was running, and this is how I met Chris, because he heard us playing this.
2084. Space travel no longer a luxury due to a space station called Wedgecraft. Silently floating in the vast darkness, orbiting the bright blue planet Earth. Wedgecraft. An industrial nation to itself, whose citizens willingly devote their lives and work towards technological achievement and the furthering of human knowledge. A lone shuttle makes its way from Earth to the space station, carrying a very special passenger.
This is Wedgecraft Station Flight Control to approaching shuttle. Stand by for docking clearance. Shuttle, this is Flight Control. What is your mission status? Clearance code, please.
This is Earth Shuttle to Wedgecraft Flight Control. Our clearance code is TCP 110-21714. Requesting DNL clearance for Hangar C.
Earth Shuttle, you are cleared for landing in Hangar C. You may proceed. How many passengers?
Just one, Wedgecraft. Just one.
James Scott.
Chris Taylor.
Secret Service's top field operative. I am in awe.
Wedgecraft's creator and technical genius. I'm overwhelmed.
As well you should be. So, James, how goes it? How goes the Cold Wars?
Same as always, Chris. Top Chamber's still trying to get me to transfer.
Transfer? What for?
They want me to head up a new division in the Planetary Law Enforcement Agency.
PLEA, huh?
Yeah.
They'll make a plea man out of you yet.
Not if I can help it. So tell me about life in the stars, Chris. I hear it's not so heavenly right now.
You got it, pal. How much were you told prior to this brief?
You got it, pal.
I'm
That's like Oscar,
Who writes this stuff?
Oscar Goldman dialogue.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Hello there.
Yes.
Oh my
You do a great Chris Taylor voice.
Exactly. And now here's the best part. First of all, that was Chris Griffin in there. You heard Chris Griffin?
Yeah,
the late great.
The late Chris Griffin.
Wow.
And then Chris Taylor, that's where Chris Taylor, who you talked to on the phone, which is not his real name, okay? That's where he's got his name from, Chris Taylor, from this James Scott thing. So there it is. Did that blow your mind?
Yeah, it did.
Eugene. That was Eugene as Chris Taylor. So here it is, all the whole weirdness.
Oh, God.
Chris Taylor's on the phone as Chris Taylor, who is inspired by Eugene, who played Chris Taylor. So there it is.
Yeah, I still haven't gotten paid for that, Mike.
Well, listen, the check, it's really...
It's floating around.
I use the...
Just listening to it now, I commented on how wonderful you did audio drama, Mike, with your voice. You're so believable. It's like, yes, and
You see how smooth he comes off compared to me going...
Oh, he does.
He's so cool.
He's funny. Oh, my God.
It's funny, though. It's listening back. Chris Taylor.
Well, it's kind of a weird cross between James Bond and, like, $6 Million Man.
Exactly. Exactly. You hear him.
And Star
Hey,
Trek.
pal. Hey, pal. Nobody calls anybody pal.
Right?
When we did the updated one, the When the World Needs Heroes.
Of course.
That one. When we did that, the first person to get sucked out of the airlock
Was Byron, of course.
Byron.
Exactly. But I just came across this. I dubbed that from cassette. Okay. And I haven't even looked at the cassette in I can't tell you how many years. Yeah, I brought it here to show you. Look, Eugene, do you remember
my
this?
God, I might have this.
Yeah, of course you do. That's the cassette.
Is it an EJ Corvette cassette?
It's practically.
Oh my God.
So
I just like how we used to have that dialogue where we would people would talk and we want to make it sound futuristic, so instead of like what the hell, it'd be like what the Devil Star.
Oh, exactly. That's the planet of hell is going on.
Because that's how people in the future will talk. In 2018.
You're flying in space, you're going to talk about planets. All right. All right, let's see. There
It
was
might
some
not be that far from the truth the way social media is. You have to watch what you're saying, so people might be that monotone when they talk.
That's true. You got to be very, very careful. As I said, you are tuned to listener-sponsored radio, WBAI.
Some Captain Kirk there.
It is 11:39. We got about 20 minutes left to the show, and I do want to say that we've been talking about what it takes to change your mind, and what does it take for you to, what does it mean? Your beliefs. How much do they define who you are? So you can call 212-209-2877, and we'll take your call. But you can visit us on the web at lifeislikesciencefiction.com. We have shows going back for over 15 years. It's funny, I was listening back to the Clint Eastwood. I think I even said...
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
You did.
I was listening back to the Clint Eastwood show. We've done so many things here on the show. We're in a new time slot. And hopefully you've enjoyed a little bit of what we've done so far on the show. We're going to compress time for the next 15 minutes or so and try and get in twice as much show in half the time. Hello, you're on the air.
Hi.
Yes.
How you doing?
All right.
Huh? Hi. Hello? Yeah, hi. This is Boperism. How you doing?
Your name is Boperism?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay, that's an interesting name. Was that like your given name, or you chose that?
That's my, I gave it to myself.
Chosen name. All right, and so when did you change your mind? Tell me, do you have something? What do you want to tell us?
Okay, I want to tell you that identity is not what someone else puts upon you. It's what you decide that you want to be put upon you. In other words, yes, you are going to be put something like, in other words, I told you my name is Bob Rhythm, right? And so you said, what was your given name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you wanted to know what name did someone give me
exactly
that I could say, well, no, that's your real name was what they gave you, but the name that I'm giving you now is not your real name. So that's why you say, what's your given name, right? Is that
okay. Well, maybe, but finish.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that your identity, see, because I'm very astute in rhythm and. And then I have a spot to my personality. So
I like it.
That much more identifies me.
I like that
as who I am than to say my name is Keith Witherspoon, which is my actual name.
Well, Keith is such a boring name.
Actual. Well, I say, see, I got caught in the same trap myself.
I understand.
My actual name.
Actual name. Well, no. You can say your given name. You can say given name. That's better. Say given name.
Given name.
Given
okay.
name. I'm with you.
So so the difference I'm trying to be is like your given name is not actually your identity.
Right. No, your chosen name. You can choose the name and who you are.
Right.
So now here's my question to you. All right. Well, you're going to give me the because. I didn't mean to cut off you because. What were you going to say?
No, I was just saying. I know many people have changed their names because they had a different. Like my son-in-law, he became a new Israelite, so he had to change his name because he wanted to reflect that new identity that he had, that new feeling that was going through him. He couldn't keep the same name. The other name wasn't. It had to leave because it wasn't giving him what he needed for his identity.
Okay, I understand that. I mean, in some ways, supposedly that's part of why, in marriage, the wife changes her name to signify. So my question to you though is, in terms of just who you are as someone who makes the choice to have a chosen name, Can you cite something, and maybe it's your name, but can you cite something in your life that you literally changed your point of view on, that you strongly believe, but something happened or you learned something that changed your point of view?
I think that my whole journey has been a journey of just slowly trying to change myself into the realization of what I felt is truth. So there was no specific thing that just jumped. I did take classes with a spiritual leader and a spiritual, it was called a spiritual leader, and he gave me a space jump in the way that I thought about things. It was really a big space jump, but it was the path that I was on. It wasn't.
Right.
It wasn't as though I had to change anything.
I understand, and that wasn't anything changed. Well, thank you. Hello, you're on the air.
Hi. I don't know if I should get back in the water because it's all guys. But anyway, hi.
Hi. And what's your name? What's your name?
My name is Penny, and I do go by different names because my middle name and my first name can be shortened. My first name is Penelope, so that can be Penny. My middle name is Evangeline, so I can be Eva, Eve, Gina.
Can we give you like a name, like on the show, like a name? Can we call you?
I'd like to call myself the Mosquito.
Oh, I wanted to call you
I'm going to bug people.
I wanted to call you Penelope.
Get a woman caller. Well,
yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
What did I miss?
Mosquito.
Well, I think sometimes I don't want to use my name because what I'm going to say next may be very controversial.
Okay.
Now, I don't want to poke at Nelson Mandela. He's a great man. Wonderful that he ended apartheid. He was leader. However, when you delve deeply, and Penelope is Greek, if you dig too deep, you get the smell. I don't really like to smell this odor. But as a lawyer, he was examining a rape victim, and he said it wasn't really rape because she wasn't penetrated. Now, a lot of women would be really upset by that. So that's the bite from the mosquito. But
Well,
I
all
do
right. So
believe
wait. Just so I'm understanding, because of this perception he had from the legal standpoint as a lawyer, this makes you feel how about him?
I think rape is an invasion.
Clearly, but I'm just saying, what is this? How does this knowledge of his history, did that change a perception you originally had of him, or
No. But sometimes I'd like to just think the man is a great man and not know these intricacies of a one case that I didn't delve into. And if I look up rape, maybe I will change my mind. And then, as you said, a legal term, maybe it's delineated only as penetration.
Well, we could go further and say who wrote these laws. I doubt that there were like women writing the laws on rape. You know what I'm saying? So I'm with you. with you.
Mosquito, can I say that? Are you saying that you rather had not known about this?
Yeah,
that changed
I'd
your mind
rather
about.
not known
That's
because
what I'm thinking.
All right, I understand that. I understand that.
Mystique and the reputation, it changes, and I don't like to change. I like to think a person is great rather than to think, oh, Bill Cosby did this, or now I'd say, well, how about Magic Johnson when he says he's conquered? And I don't like the word conquered over 2,000. What does the conquering mean? Like taking over, right?
Well, yeah, pretty much. But I mean, let's face it. If we're just going to touch upon gender differences in gender politics, men are encouraged to conquer. That's really what the role of the man is to conquer in romance, in relationships, in life.
The world.
Boys are taught to value conquest.
Someday I'll change my mind about men, but that's that'd be a life changer.
That was good. That was good, Miss.
Women, they say, "Yeah, you're right. We don't get credit. We do more work." Blah 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 blah.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. All right. Well, thank you, Mosquito.
All right, you're welcome. I want to hear the rest.
Now, first of all, 2 questions to you.
Yeah.
Like, how long have you been listening to the show? Have you ever heard the show before?
Oh, I remember it as a church in the 60s. I don't know exactly 60
All right, well, that's the station. I'm talking about this show in particular.
This show, I was so addicted to this show that I had insomnia when it was later. My therapist says, "Oh, you can look at it stream," but I can't do that. I want interaction. I want to be there.
You want to feel the life
Yeah,
as it's happening. Yes.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
so I'm so happy that you're around, and maybe to answer that, maybe when were you at the late hour?
Well, up until January, we were on from midnight till 3 a.m. We were doing that for at
How
least
far back?
10
Like a
years.
year back, 2 years?
Oh, 10 years, babe.
Oh, okay. So I think I'm a newbie.
It was later than that when we were on, right, Chris?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Keith?
Well,
yeah, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, that was the original
Yeah, I
thing.
mean, basically,
yeah.
That's
Right, Chris?
25 years ago.
we're coming up to
Yeah, I'm
30,
a night owl.
30
I
years.
have to. It wasn't 25 years a night owl.
Wow.
The 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. Those were crazy times.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, now I'm telling you my age, and that.
Listen, it's not just you. I mean, if we
Anyway,
get on the air,
yeah,
It's all of us.
so, I'm going to bug out
All
and
right.
listen to the rest.
Thank
Okay?
you.
Blessings. Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, you're tuned to Listener Sponsored Radio, WBAI 99.5 FM. The name of the show, Night Shift.
I told you this before, but my opinion of the show changed.
How so? What show? Night Shift?
Your show, Night Shift. Yeah. When I first called in, I told you this already, but I couldn't stand you. We had a little argument.
Did we?
And I was like, "This is the worst show ever. This guy's
The
freaking sucks."
worst show ever.
Oh yeah. I
Wait,
called my friend that
Yoda.
night. Yeah.
Yoda, who was it? Was it Mike you didn't like? You liked me, though.
Yeah, I didn't like Mike. I'm midway now, but now
I'm on the fence with him still. I'm still on the fence with
Yeah.
him.
I love Byron, and I couldn't stand Mike. I was like,
Thank
this
you.
Mike guy.
Exactly.
Can't stand
I don't know what
me.
he's talking about this guy, whatever. And now he's like one of my favorite hosts of all. I mean, the change was like, I don't know, it probably took like a couple of months. Like, it wasn't like it took years for me. Like, I'm listening and just hating for years.
I was using my powers.
Yeah, it took a couple months.
I will tell you
I
when.
like this guy.
I will tell you
And that's
how.
why I stay listening.
All right. Well, I like that. So, like, just after a while, we just kind of got to you.
Yeah. I just kept calling in, and because our argument, everything was taken out of context. Like, I just took like one little snapshot out of a conversation that I heard and tried to develop who I thought you were.
Yeah, but at what
It's like,
point
you
did you
just can't do
start?
that.
At what point did you start calling in as Yoda? That's my question.
Oh, that was during the Star Wars time. That was after '99.
Wow.
But you added to the show. See, this is what I love about radio. When we get real, when you don't know what's going to happen, and you felt involved, you felt a part of it. Like Tom feels a part of the show. Everybody out there listening is a part of the show. We are all interacting. We're all vibing, and some people are calling in, some people aren't, and so forth and stuff. And that's the
Everybody's
magic
a part of the
of radio and a show like this. And that's what I've always. Which listen, we have to always fight for our position on this station. Every day, every time, it's like, well, we don't want to get night shift. Oh, after 30 years, you still don't get night shift? I mean, come on. It's what this is. It's what is it, Mike?
Exactly. Hello, you're in the air. Hello, you're in the air. Who else is here?
Yes, hi. I was listening before, but I didn't understand what you were saying about Barbra Streisand relating to Michael Jackson.
Basically, I think what we were saying is that Barbra Streisand made some comments about Michael Jackson, based on her reactions, and we said that in today's society with social media, everybody weighs in on everything, and she's just as human as anybody else. She weighed in. She had her feelings. She had her perspective. She weighed in, but because she's a public figure, many people who didn't agree with her view, and we're talking about things that are polarizing. Whether you're pro-Trump, anti-Trump, whether you're pro-abortion, anti-abortion, whether you're pro-Michael Jackson, anti-Michael Jackson, whatever it is, all these polarizing views that people have, if you weigh in on one side, the people on the other side are going to come against you. They're going to interpret it a certain way. And everybody interprets everything based on the knowledge they have and how they feel about the topic. So that's basically
What did she weigh in about Michael? What did
well,
say?
she was more or less saying that that Michael, she had sympathy for Michael, but not sympathy for the victims. Let's put it like that. And
she had to backtrack after that.
She had to backtrack
after that. After she was getting some.
Yes, and again, you know, it's a perspective. It's if Uncle Tommy is convicted of some crime, but he's Uncle Tommy. You've loved him all your life, like he said. He's part of the family, and then all of a sudden, Uncle Tommy's convicted or accused of some heinousness. You know, it's hard to reconcile with Uncle Tommy, or let's say Uncle Eugene.
Hey,
I like
watch out,
Uncle Eugene.
Hey, watch out,
Uncle Eugene.
Uncle Eugene. Yes, he did
It
what?
can't be!
He did what?
So whatever it is. I'm just
Well,
saying.
you know, she was basically saying that
Yes.
the kids were there, so you know they weren't
Yeah, and
complaining
they were
at the time.
digging it.
They were digging it at the time, and then she had to backtrack. You know, I just wondered why she posted it at all.
Well, because again, like I said, because she's as human as anybody else, and everybody else weighs in on stuff.
I didn't weigh in on
yeah,
it.
but you're a Luddite, okay? Everybody's not
No. She didn't post it. She was doing an interview with Vanity Fair.
All right, well, there it is. She weighed in. But the point is, she
And then
weighed
they-
in. She weighed in.
They
She
posted
She
it.
didn't tweet it.
Thank you, Chris.
She weighed in. She had an opinion, and she spoke about it.
Okay, I thought she ended
viral.
There it is.
Oh, I thought she posted it herself.
Well, there it is. You thought so.
No.
Thanks.
Hello, you're on the air. Who else is here? Because we got like 2 minutes left.
Yo, what's up, Mike?
Yes.
How you doing, man?
Who is this?
This is Bill from Hell's Kitchen.
Bill from Hell's Kitchen. What you want to tell me, Bill?
Michael Jackson and the Pope were on an airplane.
I want to hear it. I want to know where this joke goes. I want to know where this joke
be good.
goes.
Michael Jackson and the Pope are on an airplane, and Michael's got 100 kids with him. All of a sudden, the pilot says, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to say this, but we're going to crash." So the Pope leans in and says, "Michael, don't worry. I have 2 parachutes under my seat." So Michael's crying profusely, but what about the children? What about the children? So the Pope's putting his parachute on over his robe. He's kicking. He's trying to get it on. And he's saying, "Michael, we don't have time for that right now. Here." He throws the parachute at him. "Michael, put the parachute on. We don't have time for that right now. Come on." So Michael says, but Holy Father, what about the children? What about the children? So the Pope says, "Michael, God damn it, screw the children." And Michael says, "Do we have time?"
Oh, man.
And the Pope says, "Yeah."
Oh, man. All right, well, on that note.
Now we're going to get a bunch of
exactly.
bad Twitters
Now we'll be
WBAI.
there. It is. Well, you're tuned to Listener
There
Sponsored
it is.
Radio. You can follow us on Facebook, NITESHIFT, and you can also follow us on Twitter, NITESHIFTZ, and go online, Niteshift, or actually go online, lifeislikesciencefiction.com, and everything leads to everything. Just go to their website, and you got shows going back. Chris? You still there, Chris? Thank you.
Yes, you can reach me if you want to.
Where do we
You
reach
can yell
you?
at Mike at I'm on Instagram, Reach Antiques. Just one word, Reach Antiques. Come join all the fun of the pictures I put up. Put up really cool pictures.
And Keith?
Of antiques and things I do and stuff.
Keith?
Yep.
Where can we find your artwork that Eugene likes so much?
Just hashtag I am the leopard is Instagram.
I am the leopard.
Yeah, he's a leopard. He thinks he's a leopard. I don't know what that's all about. And what about Eugene?
I don't want to be reached, so everybody just leave me alone.
Until next time, this has been Night Shift.